Tell me a little bit about this build.
We both came up with the idea. He followed through, had it built. It's a turbo. We added nitrous to it. We can't get enough of those power adders.
AZN has always been the heart of Street Outlaws, quick with a joke, fearless on the track, and a fan favorite every time he hits the gas. But while viewers saw the wins and the laughs, they never saw what he was really going through. Off camera, AZN was hit with a devastating personal loss. One so deep, it shook the man behind the wheel in a way racing never could. Now, fans are learning the truth, and it's leaving hearts broken across the Street Outlaws community. So what happened to AZN that no one saw coming? Let's uncover the story behind the silence. When the sun hits the track, for anyone who's watched the show, AZN might seem like the comic relief. The guy always next to farm truck with a witty comeback and a laid-back attitude. He's the one people expect to lighten the mood, crack a joke, or jump into a ridiculous street stunt. But there's more behind that loud laugh and backwards cap. People often label him as the sidekick, but that title doesn't come close to telling the full story. Over the years, he became more than just part of the team. Fans started to see something deeper. His drive, his connection to the culture, and the quiet weight he carried behind the scenes. Every joke was backed by a life that had seen struggle. Every burnout was fueled by something emotional beneath the surface. That energy, the way he brought life to each episode, wasn't just for the cameras. It came from real places, some joyful, others painful. There's a moment that sticks out for many. The track is lit in soft orange as the sun starts to set. Jeff is behind the wheel, gripping it tight, his eyes locked ahead. This race feels different. There's tension in his shoulders and something unreadable in his expression. The crowd's still. The engines rumble in the background. But he's not thinking about them. He's somewhere else. That moment captures what people often miss. Underneath the excitement and the cheering fans, there's a person with real stakes, racing for more than just a win. He's racing for everything he's built and everything he's lost. Born on August 3, 1981, in Oklahoma, Jeff grew up where cars were more than just a hobby. They were a way of life. His parents, Dennis and Matsu Bonnet, raised him in a town where racing wasn't just entertainment, it was tradition. His father, Dennis, a Vietnam War veteran, was the first to teach Jeff about the inner workings of vehicles. Long before fame, they'd spend hours together, working on engines and talking about torque and horsepower. Like other families talk about dinner plans, Dennis played a huge role in shaping who Jeff would become. He taught him to drive, sure, but more importantly, he taught him patience, focus, and the pride that comes from building something with your hands. Those lessons stuck. Still, the big shift came when Jeff met someone who'd take those lessons to the next level. Farm Truck wasn't just another racer. He became the mentor Jeff didn't know he needed. Under Farm Truck's guidance, Jeff's skills sharpened. His confidence grew. What started as a friendship built on mutual love for racing turned into a partnership that defined both their careers. Farm Truck didn't just teach Jeff how to race harder or fix engines faster. He taught him how to turn their shared passion into a brand, a lifestyle, and eventually, a legacy. Every ridiculous stunt they pulled, every wild idea they turned into a project. It all built something bigger than just a show. Built from the ground up. From the start, Jeff Bonnet's story has been shaped by determination, loyalty, and a love for speed. Long before anyone called him AZN, he was a high school kid with no job and big dreams. He wanted to own a car, but had no way to pay for one. So his father, Dennis Bonnet, stepped in, not as a gift giver, but as a lender. Dennis gave Jeff a loan to buy a beat-up 1964 Chevy Nova for $2,800, making it clear that this wasn't free money. Jeff would have to repay every cent. Jeff took the challenge seriously. With no steady income, he came up with a simple way to make money: painting house numbers on curbs so emergency services could find homes more easily. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. Every weekend, Jeff and Dennis would work side by side on the Nova, slowly turning it into something they could be proud of. That car wasn't just a project. It became a symbol of their bond, of everything Jeff was learning about cars, effort, and commitment. Dennis passed down the basics of car mechanics and the satisfaction of fixing something with your own hands, and somewhere in those long afternoons, Jeff found his passion for racing. Jeff's quiet drive quickly turned into something bigger. The open roads and back streets of Oklahoma gave him his first taste of real competition. As he pushed himself harder on the track, it became clear he wasn't just chasing speed, he was chasing purpose. This wasn't just a phase. Racing became his lifestyle. And that's when things started to shift. During this time, he crossed paths with Sean Whitley, a local street racer better known as Farm Truck. Their first meeting wasn't just a casual introduction, it became a turning point. Farm Truck wasn't just a skilled driver. He was the kind of figure you learn from by watching, listening, and earning your place. Jeff had the enthusiasm, and Farm Truck had the experience. What started as a racing connection quickly turned into something deeper. A mentorship that helped Jeff evolve from a curious teenager to a calculated, respected racer. Jeff's time with Farm Truck changed everything. Under his guidance, Jeff fine-tuned not just his driving, but his entire approach to racing. It wasn't just about burning rubber anymore. It was about understanding every inch of the machine, every second of timing, every move made on the track. The two of them built a working partnership rooted in trust, discipline, and a shared sense of humor. What's more, they didn't shy away from the rough parts. They faced setbacks. Some races didn't go their way. Some projects hit dead ends. But they stuck together through it, turning problems into lessons and wins into momentum. Over time, their on-screen chemistry in Street Outlaws, Sean made them fan favorites. But behind the scenes, their connection was real. They had each other's backs, whether in front of the cameras or under the hood. The Dung Beetle and a statement. As Jeff's confidence grew, so did his flair. He didn't want to copy anyone else's path. He wanted to stand out. That's where the Dung Beetle came in. While other racers flaunted sleek, intimidating builds, Jeff showed up in a 1970 Volkswagen Beetle. It was an unusual choice, and he knew it. But that was the point. The car, nicknamed with humor, was never meant to impress with looks. It was a statement. It was loud, weird, and unmistakably Jeff. By racing the Beetle, Jeff set himself apart. People noticed. He wasn't just another driver following trends. He was building something of his own. His style, his personality, his way of doing things, it all became part of his identity as AZN. He wasn't trying to be flashy. He was trying to be real. Before cameras ever rolled, before the show had a name, Jeff and Farm Truck found each other the old-fashioned way on the streets of Oklahoma. What started as a rivalry quickly turned into something more. Jeff was still finding his footing in the street racing world when he first crossed paths with Farm Truck, a veteran already known for his skills and steady hand behind the wheel. At that point, Jeff didn't have the experience, but he had the hunger. And somehow, that caught Farm Truck's eye. They were an odd match on paper. Two totally different personalities with very different styles, But that contrast became their strength. What made their bond click wasn't fully understood by outsiders. Some people around them assumed Jeff looked up to Farm Truck the way a son might look up to a father. And maybe there was some truth to that, especially considering what Jeff had already been through. Jeff's journey wasn't built on just ambition. It was shaped by loss, too. When he was still a teenager, his mother passed away from cancer. That alone would have broken him. But the weight got heavier. In 2001, he lost his father, Dennis, to a heart condition. Suddenly, Jeff and his sister Brenda were left without either parent. It was more than just painful. It was a complete shift in the world they knew. But Jeff didn't retreat from life. If anything, he leaned into it harder. His father had been more than just a parent. He was a guide, someone who encouraged Jeff's early interest in cars and racing. After losing him, Jeff seemed to double down on the one thing that connected him to his father's memory: street racing. And that's where Farm Truck became more than just a teammate. The bond between them felt deeper, like two people who understood loss, but refused to let it define them. The truck that became a legacy. Their connection came to life through a piece of machinery that soon became iconic: Farm Truck's 1970 Chevrolet C10. This wasn't just a truck, it was a symbol. The moment Jeff joined forces with Farm Truck, that C10 became the third member of their team. Loud, rough, and full of personality, it was everything they stood for. The truck helped shape their image in the Oklahoma street racing scene and made them hard to forget. With each race, they fine-tuned more than just engines. They sharpened their skills and solidified their place in the underground world of racing. People started to notice, not just for how they drove, but for how they worked as a team. There was something genuine about them. It wasn't for show. They respected each other, backed each other up, and didn't care much about flash as long as the engine ran hot and the wheels held up. Eventually, word spread beyond Oklahoma. Their cars, their friendship, their energy, it was all too good to stay hidden. Producers looking for real talent and personality saw something special in Jeff and Farm Truck. They weren't just racers, they were entertainers with the kind of chemistry that didn't need a script. Street racing is full of fast cars and louder personalities. But what kept people watching wasn't just the sound of engines. It was the racers, their stories, their wins, their losses. Jeff brought something different to the game, something that stood out. While most racers were chasing raw power and flashy cars, Jeff leaned into something older, something classic. He wasn't after just any fast car. He was attached to his 1970 Volkswagen Beetle. The car, nicknamed the Dung Beetle, wasn't picked to impress anyone. It was picked because it meant something to him. The Dung Beetle wasn't sleek or intimidating. It was small, with a rear engine, and looked more like it belonged in a parking lot than on a drag strip. But that was the point. Jeff liked that it was different. It had character, and it stood out in a crowd of muscle cars. While everyone else was trying to look tough, Jeff rolled up in something that looked like a joke until it left you in the dust. There are clips that still get shared of Jeff and his friend Sean laughing as they painted over the car together. The process wasn't about perfection. It was about having fun. They didn't hide the car's age or imperfections. In fact, they leaned into them. Every coat of paint, every dent, every rust spot, it all became part of the Dung Beetle's identity. The car had its own presence, even before the upgrades. But Jeff wasn't just doing it for laughs. He took the car seriously. Underneath the Beetle's unusual look, Jeff made real changes. He rebuilt its engine and gave it a suspension setup that could keep up with the best. It wasn't easy. Compared to lighter, more aggressive cars, the Beetle carried more weight, and wasn't designed for racing. But Jeff made it work. He kept tuning it until it could hold its own. The Dung Beetle started picking up speed, and more than once, it caught people off guard at the start line. No one expected a small Volkswagen to go head-to-head with street racing's toughest builds, but Jeff liked it that way. He liked the surprise. He liked proving people wrong. Still, racing isn't just about upgrades. The Beetle didn't always win. And as the races got tougher, so did the expectations. Some began to question if Jeff's love for the Dung Beetle was holding him back. But for Jeff, the car was never just about winning. It was about doing things his way, even if it meant taking a few losses along the way. A new lane opens. Not everyone loved going up against Jeff. In fact, most drivers didn't. They knew that whenever he entered a race, their chances dropped. And that kind of predictability started to create a problem. The tension and unpredictability, two things that kept street racing exciting, started fading. Some racers even felt the races lost their thrill because Jeff's wins were too expected. Producers of the show noticed it too. Slowly, Jeff started getting fewer race invites. It wasn't because he didn't have the passion or talent. It was because he won too often. And in the eyes of the showrunners, that kind of consistency didn't create enough drama. Sean, Jeff's longtime racing partner, was also pushed to the sidelines during this time. Still, neither of them gave up. Instead of waiting to be called back, they turned to something new. Jeff and Sean eventually got their shot to keep racing, but this time on their own terms. They were offered the chance to lead their own spin-off show. That's how Street Outlaws, Farm Truck, and AZN came to life. Premiering in 2018, the new series followed Jeff Bonnet, better known as AZN, and his partner Sean Whitley, known as Farm Truck. It gave fans more than just racing. It pulled back the curtain and showed the bond between the two. Their jokes, their arguments, their weird experiments. They weren't just racers anymore. They were the center of their own world. And viewers got to see how they worked together in and out of the garage. The show wasn't about sleek wins or perfect engines. It was about two friends who made racing fun. Fans loved it. People kept tuning in, not just for the cars, but for the personalities. There was comedy, chaos, and just enough real competition to keep things grounded. They tested wild ideas, built strange vehicles, and brought humor to a sport that usually focused on seriousness and speed. It worked because it was real. Nothing about them felt scripted. They didn't need to act like stars. They were just being themselves, and that's what made them entertaining. The upgrades weren't just about making the cars faster. Every modification Farm Truck and his partner added reflected their deep knowledge of car engineering. And in a place like Oklahoma City, where street racing is taken seriously, those skills didn't go unnoticed. They stood out, not just because they could race, but because they could build from scratch, turn junkyard scraps into machines that actually worked, and sometimes even win. But their spin-off show offered something else. It wasn't just high-speed runs down the strip. It gave fans a chance to see who they were off the road. Between all the car builds and drag races, there were moments of quiet humor, like when they went fishing or messed around in the shop, trying to turn a completely ridiculous idea into an actual working car. Each episode gave a new side of them, highlighting how different they were but how well they worked together. What went wrong? Some of the cars they built weren't even street legal, and frankly, some didn't make sense unless you were inside their heads. They once built machines that looked more like jokes than vehicles, but that was the point. They weren't trying to follow the rules. They were having fun, pushing the limits, and showing fans that you didn't need $1 million build to make people pay attention. What kept it grounded was the friendship. Their connection felt real, not just something created for cameras. They trusted each other, argued like brothers, and somehow always ended up laughing by the end of the day. That's what gave the show its core. Underneath the odd builds and offbeat humor, it was a story about two guys who loved racing and never took themselves too seriously. Even with all that going for it, the spin-off didn't last. Some fans said the network didn't promote it well enough. Others felt the cars were too odd, maybe even too specific, to appeal to a broader audience. Whatever the reason, it didn't get the attention it needed. Viewership wasn't strong, and eventually, both of them returned to the main Street Outlaws series. But their time away wasn't wasted. They had carved out their own lane, shown fans a new kind of racing entertainment, and proven that not every car show had to look or feel the same. But not every thrill came from racing. In 2018, Jeff and Farm Truck took a trip to Australia for the famous Summer Nats Festival in Canberra. It's one of the biggest car events in the world, packed with smoke-filled burnouts and wild stunts. During a burnout competition, Farm Truck's car suddenly lost control due to a mechanical issue and crashed into a barrier. Jeff and Sean were inside the car when it happened. Luckily, both walked away unharmed, but the moment was intense. It reminded everyone that no matter how much fun these events seem, there's always real danger behind the wheel. That crash became another chapter in their story, one that showed how far they'd go for the love of cars. After that incident, Jeff didn't slow down. He stayed right beside Farm Truck, showing up for the races, the builds, and everything in between. Fans noticed. He brought a kind of energy that people connected with, always positive, always willing to help, and always quick with a comeback. While his life on the show is well known, Jeff keeps his personal life quiet. Rumors have popped up over time, especially about his possible connection with a woman named Lisa Lacey. Their social media posts suggest there's something there, but neither has made it public. It's a mystery fans love to guess about. But Jeff seems to prefer keeping that part of his life away from the spotlight. What isn't a mystery is how much Jeff still loves racing. His bond with Sean continues to shape his career, pushing him to do better and reminding him why he started in the first place. He's proven that he's not just a supporting character. He may not always be in the lead, but he's always there, ready to race, ready to entertain, and ready to show that he belongs in the world of street racing. Return to Street Outlaws with AWD Jeeps. In 2024, Farm Truck and AZN made a notable return to Sean Street Outlaws. Sean, embracing the show's shift back to its roots with small-tire racing. They introduced all-wheel drive Jeep Grand Cherokees, each uniquely modified for performance. AZN's Jeeper Sleeper and Farm Truck's Penny showcased their dedication to innovation while staying true to their style. Both vehicles featured significant enhancements, including supercharged engines and nitrous systems, allowing them to compete effectively in the revived small-tire format. AZN's Jeeper Sleeper was equipped with a ProCharger F1A94 centrifugal supercharger, upgraded engine internals, and a Suncoast-built 5-speed transmission, producing over 900 horsepower on E85 fuel. Farm Truck's Penny underwent similar modifications, emphasizing their commitment to pushing boundaries while maintaining their signature style. The duo's return to the show was met with enthusiasm from longtime fans who appreciated seeing the familiar faces tackle new challenges. Their competitive spirit remained unchanged, with both vehicles making impressive passes during filming. During the season, they faced off against both veteran racers and newcomers, with several memorable races that showcased the potential of their AWD builds. In particular, AZN's race against Ryan Martin became an instant fan favorite when the Jeeper Sleeper pulled a surprising hole-shot advantage before Martin's vehicle recovered in the final stretch. What set their Jeep builds apart wasn't just the all-wheel drive configuration, but also their characteristic attention to sleeper aesthetics. While other competitors opted for flashy wraps and excessive visual modifications, Farm Truck and AZN maintained their philosophy that true sleepers should blend in until the moment they unleash their power. This approach resonated with viewers who appreciated the duo's authentic connection to street racing culture. Beyond racing, the duo expanded their involvement in the community by hosting Locals Only, a racing event series aimed at spotlighting regional talent. These events provided local racers with opportunities to compete for cash prizes and gain exposure. Farm Truck and AZN's hands-on approach and genuine enthusiasm fostered a welcoming environment, reinforcing their status as approachable figures in the racing world. Locals-only events were held at various tracks, including National Trail Raceway, where 8 local small-tire racers competed for a $5,000 prize. The winner then faced off against a Street Outlaws Sean racer for an additional $5,000, creating exciting opportunities for grassroots racers to showcase their skills. The popularity of these events led to an expanded schedule in 2025, with stops added in Texas, Florida, and California. Each event featured a unique format tailored to highlight local racing styles and traditions. The Texas event notably incorporated a no-prep surface challenge that tested drivers' ability to handle unpredictable traction conditions. The Florida event featured a bracket racing format that leveled the playing field between different power levels, while the California event showcased imported vehicles and tuner culture. Fan engagement reached new heights during these events, with Farm Truck and AZN devoting significant time to meet and greets, autograph sessions, and impromptu tech talks. Their accessibility continued to distinguish them from other television personalities, as they frequently spent hours answering questions and posing for photos with attendees. This commitment to fan interaction transformed Locals Only from merely a racing event into a community gathering that celebrated grassroots automotive culture. "We didn't want to just show up, race, and leave," Farm Truck explained during an interview with Dragzine. "These events are about giving back to the community that supported them from day one. Every racer out here has a story worth hearing, and every fan is part of what makes this whole thing possible." International adventures. Their adventurous spirit took them to Australia in the series Farm Truck and AZN Down Under. This show documented their experiences exploring the Australian car culture, participating in local races, and engaging with international fans. The series highlighted their adaptability and passion for racing, regardless of location. During their time in Australia, they built and raced unique vehicles, including a drag racing Zamboni machine, showcasing their creativity and willingness to embrace unconventional projects. The Down Under Zamboni became an instant hit, capable of running the quarter-mile in just 11 seconds, despite its unorthodox chassis and cooling system challenges. The 8-episode series took viewers on a journey across Australia's diverse racing scenes, from the organized drag strips of major cities to impromptu gatherings in the outback. Their collaboration with local mechanics and racers demonstrated the universal language of automotive enthusiasm while highlighting the unique aspects of Australian car culture. The Ute episode became particularly popular, as the duo embraced Australia's iconic utility vehicles and modified a Holden Commodore Ute for drag racing. Cultural exchanges featured prominently throughout the series, with Farm Truck and AZN sampling local cuisine, attempting to decipher Australian slang and participating in traditional activities. These moments of cultural immersion balanced the technical aspects of the show and revealed the pair's genuine interest in connecting with communities worldwide. The success of Sean Farm Truck and AZN Down Under. Sean sparked discussions about potential future international series, with rumors circulating about possible adventures in Japan, Brazil, and Scandinavia. Fan reaction to these possibilities was overwhelmingly positive, with social media campaigns launching to bring the duo to various countries. Farm Truck and AZN maintained an active presence on their YouTube channel, sharing behind-the-scenes content, vehicle builds, and personal anecdotes. Their videos offered fans an intimate look at their projects and daily lives, further solidifying their connection with the audience. The channel served as a platform for them to express their creativity and interact directly with fans, keeping their community engaged and informed. Notable content included detailed walkthroughs of their vehicle builds, insights into their racing strategies, and collaborations with other automotive enthusiasts. Their approachable demeanor and willingness to share both successes and challenges resonated with viewers, fostering a loyal fan base. The channel surpassed 1.5 million subscribers in early 2025, marking a significant milestone in their digital presence. To celebrate this achievement, they launched a 10-part series documenting the resurrection of their original farm truck, the iconic 1970 Chevy C10 that first brought them fame. The restoration process combined modern performance upgrades with careful preservation of the truck's character, resulting in a vehicle that honored its history while incorporating contemporary technology. Their Garage Sessions series became a platform for discussing industry trends, showcasing innovative parts, and addressing viewer questions. These informal discussions, often filmed while working on projects, provided valuable technical information wrapped in the duo's characteristic humor and accessibility. Demonstrating their willingness to embrace new technologies, Farm Truck and AZN ventured into electric vehicle builds. Their project, an electric drag truck named Sparky, showcased their innovative approach to racing and customization. This endeavor highlighted their commitment to evolving with the industry while maintaining their distinctive style. The development of Sparky involved integrating electric propulsion systems into a drag racing platform, challenging traditional notions of performance and sustainability in motorsports. Their documentation of the build process provided valuable insights for enthusiasts interested in electric vehicle conversions. Sparky was built on a 1990s Ford Ranger chassis, chosen for its lightweight construction and modifiable frame. The truck featured a dual-motor setup producing over 1,200 horsepower, with custom battery packs strategically placed for optimal weight distribution. Maintaining their sleeper philosophy, the exterior remained deceptively stock, with only subtle modifications hinting at the revolutionary powertrain beneath. The project generated significant debate within their traditionally V8-loving fan base, with opinions divided on the merit of electric performance vehicles. Rather than avoiding this controversy, Farm Truck and AZN addressed it head-on through a series of educational videos explaining the advantages and challenges of electric propulsion. Their honest approach to discussing the learning curve associated with electric vehicle technology resonated with viewers who appreciated their transparency. Sparky made its competitive debut at a Future of Drag Racing exhibition event, where it faced off against both traditional internal combustion vehicles and other electric builds. Its impressive 9.2-second quarter-mile time silenced many skeptics and demonstrated the potential of electric drag racing when executed with proper engineering principles. While AZN's journey through Street Outlaws has always been about pushing limits and racing against the odds, it's clear that his story off the track is just as significant. The heartbreak and resilience he's shown in the face of personal challenges remind us that even the toughest racers have battles no amount of horsepower can solve. Through it all, AZN's strength and dedication to his craft continue to inspire fans and keep his legacy alive, both on and off the track.